Welcome to Career Happy Hour. I'm Andrew Beach. I'm an executive coach. I'm a teacher of self-education. I help professionals like you communicate value to find great opportunities faster, whether you're working or not. It's Friday, 3 o'clock Pacific time, roughly speaking. It's happy hour somewhere. And this is an opportunity for us as a community to come together, get our questions answered about career. So please, if you would, access the comments section here and provide us, let's see, any questions that you might have. You can use the hashtag if you want, Career Happy Hour. That's fine. You can just put your questions in the comments. I think there was an issue earlier that the comments weren't actually working. So I will have the LinkedIn screen up here. And because we're doing this on Restream and broadcasting to an event page on LinkedIn, I think that's causing some anomalies. But it's Friday. It's 3 o'clock Pacific time. And you know what that means? It's time for us to get some coaching. So if you would please add your LinkedIn profile to the comments section of this particular event. And what you'll find is people, once they put their LinkedIn profile here, are acknowledging to everyone that they are open. They're open to being contacted and facilitating the networking process. I know there's a whole bunch of people on LinkedIn. There's lots of people you could reach out to, but it's still hard. Let's be clear. Networking is the number one way to find work today, but it's hard work. Meeting people, having conversations, building relationships, it can get messy. It can get real messy. So make sure that you know that this community is designed, it exists to facilitate and make that process easier for you. That's by putting your LinkedIn profile in the chat. If you don't want to do that, I understand. There is a private chat that's accessible to you in the description of the event or the platform that you're joining by, because we do multi-stream this session. It's on Twitter, it's on Facebook, and it's also on YouTube, as well as LinkedIn, which is the main place where many people attend the session. And what that means is if you want to come in and you want to keep it private, confidential, just come into the green room here. There's a link in the description that says join me live for career coaching. And there's a private chat back here that you can participate in and we can collaborate. You can ask your question anonymously and I will do my best to answer it. What kind of questions do I answer? Well, anything related to career. How do I get a promotion? How do I network during a pandemic? All of these different things. So if you would please put that information in the chat. Yes, okay, let me see here. So yes, I'm doing happy hour. Here's the link. Looks like I got a message for someone in our network here that didn't get that information. And so we are on the events page. We are not streaming this from my profile per se, although you could go to my profile and you would see in the background image of my profile, the actual live stream. So anyway, if you go to my profile page, you'll likely see it. And so I'm inviting people here today to take advantage of that. Good. So it looks like hopefully we're still restreaming. Let me make sure that this is still operating. Yeah, it still shows as live. Yeah, good. So please, if you want to come into the back room, if you want to come on live, that's also acceptable. We'll give you some live hands-on career coaching. And that's where you would come on live with me. We do side-by-side video. And yes, greetings from the basement lounge. Thank you, Terry. Appreciate that. Looks like we have the chat working again. So that's coming in on my side. Awesome. So Terry's a great advocate of Career Happy Hour. So if Terry's open to it, which I think he is, you can reach out to him. He has a lot of wonderful expertise in human resources, talent, and so forth. He's put his LinkedIn profile in the comments section. So go ahead and reach out to Terry if you want to do some networking. So it's Friday, so I don't have much of an agenda today, but I do have some things that I noticed have changed on LinkedIn, and for good reason. One of those things is when it comes to letting people know that you are open to opportunities. Now, on your profile page, I think most of us know there is an open to button. I'm going to go there really quickly just to show you this feature. because here on my profile, well, that's interesting. It's not broadcasting in my background image like it normally does. I guess that's okay. But here it says open to. And so when I'm going to let recruiters know I'm open to work, I can also see it's a tile here in the intro section. But over here, you can see I also have an option for open to, and I can say finding a new job. Now this dialog box is completely changed because now I can put in job titles. I can also put in workplaces. Do I want to work remotely? Do I want to work live? Do I want to be remote or hybrid? I'm open to all of those. I can add up to 5 currently, 5 job titles. I think that still exists. And 5 locations. Yes, you could pick more than one location, even though you're interested in different workplaces. These are now required fields. And so if you go back in here and you haven't been in there for a while, I think what you'll recognize is that you now have to update this information. And so add these informations in, even add whether you're able to start immediately or flexible. Again, that's not a required field. Anything with an asterisk is required. And I always encourage people that, hey, if it's not required, that means LinkedIn is telling you that's for their own purposes to see if it's something that they can garner data information from. So you can pick one of those. Job types is also optional. You're not required to check any of these. In fact, you could uncheck full-time, which is by default checked. So this is something that has changed. Now, the only required field that's in addition to that is to choose who sees you're open. My advocacy, which goes against LinkedIn's philosophies, to be honest, is open to recruiters only. And that is defined as people using LinkedIn Recruiter. Why? Because then I don't get the crazy photo frame around my image on my profile headshot, because it changes my brand. My brand is so much more than looking for work. Okay. Open to work, open to new opportunities. That is circumstantial. It's, what is it? It's a situation. It's a status. It's not your brand. And unfortunately, when LinkedIn puts that for all people, right? If I come in here and check all LinkedIn members, it puts that little brand on me, job seeker. And that's got its pluses and minuses. Some people might take empathy or compassion on me and reach out to me. Others might think, oh, I don't think that's adding any value to your brand. It's kind of distracting. The one I prefer is hiring. That one I think is hugely valuable because now I know who to reach out to that's actually hiring people. So that to me is really, really helpful. So that said, select recruiters only and then add to your profile. It's pretty straightforward. Many of you are already familiar with this concept, this idea, this thought. And so I'm not sharing anything new with you than you already knew. So that said, if you certainly have any questions, you're welcome to put those in the chat. I am happy to answer. Checking in for the first time, will not be able to stay on for the hour. Yeah, I mean, I may not actually be here for an hour, because if I don't get any interaction from you as an audience, there's no reason for me to be here. So I would hate to discontinue holding these sessions just because people aren't making contributions or asking questions or in some way trying to provide us support for each other than just attending and listening. Amy's here. Welcome. Courtney, good to see you. Stephen, good to have you as well. So Terry Smith is in the house. So if you do have questions, take a moment, just ask a question, put it in the comments section. I'll do my very, very best to answer. And then we'll hop into the news and we'll wish you a happy weekend. Because what's going on in the marketplace today is rather compelling. I think there's a lot of opportunity in the marketplace, and it's taking longer to hire people. I've noticed that as well. It's just taking longer to get through a hiring process. And from application to offer is probably 8 weeks for most companies, would be my suspicion. Other than that, there are companies that are certainly more agile and in hiring people. So that said, I'm going to share the screen and we'll walk through some of the news unless you have a specific question you would like me to answer. Good. Try to join networks. Yeah, fine, Stephen. That's fine. So let's go ahead and share the screen and we'll walk through the news. Let's see. Forbes said today that empathy is the biggest leadership trait that works right now. Empathy has diminished with the continued stress of the pandemic. Yeah, I mean, I think that the who was it? I was listening to a podcast recently, and they said the word, at least I think for 2020 or 2021, is resilience. And so even when it comes to empathy, and you're talking about empathy is kind of a buzzword right now. It's something that people are saying that they have, but they maybe don't really. And so just keep that in mind. Empathy is a lot of things, but resilience, I don't think you can have empathy really without resilience, sustained empathy without some kind of resilience. And you need to have an outlet, right? You need to have an outlet for some of the stress. And I think we talked last week or the week before about self-care. And what should we do? Should we do breathing exercises? Should we take a walk? Should we hydrate? Where's my water? let me get my water, right? I need to hydrate. These are all things taking care of yourself, getting appropriate amounts of rest, not overdoing the beverages, the alcoholic beverages, or the other materials or things that you use to satisfy your anxiety. And so take time to focus on self-care. So let's talk about the country's hidden talent pool. Community colleges, once considered a stepping stone approach to a four-year degree, are becoming a key pipeline for talent, landing people in the job market through skills-based education. I knew it. It's coming back into vogue. According to the survey from the Wall Street Journal, of course, LinkedIn trying to promote people signing up for Wall Street Journal accounts, nearly 60% of non-credit community colleges are in job-focused programs. Did you catch that? 60% of non-credit community college are in job-focused programs. They aim to fill the many open roles in industries such as tech, which have increased demand for skilled workers amid a tight labor market driven by the pandemic's automation and business restructuring. I don't know if the pandemic has led to automation, but it certainly has led to restructuring and thinking of new ways to do work. Yeah, what's that about alcoholic beverages? Yeah, you take it easy on the alcoholic beverages. It is happy hour, so I mean, it's 5 o'clock somewhere here on the West Coast. We start our happy hours at 3 o'clock, so we're maybe on the heels of those folks on the East Coast. But you can't really ignore the value of the community college. I think it's still there in the different, how would you call it? Trade organizations, trade schools that are accessible to you. 50 startups to watch. Sometimes, it's interesting that LinkedIn is putting these things up there because often we as job seeking professionals or maybe even people aspiring to something better is we never really identify a target in terms of the company. Now, that it's just all it is a target. Now, whether or not that target is going to fit your requirements is entirely up to you, but that's part of the vetting process. We should have certain companies to consider if we're looking for certain types of roles or certain industries to approach. Having a list of companies is really helpful because now I can identify people at those companies. I can identify their values. I can look at their website, determine their virtues, see what is compelling about going to work there and what challenges they're facing and see how I can meet those challenges. So good on LinkedIn for continuing to share different organizations or lists. In fact, LinkedIn, it has a list of companies. You can do that search on LinkedIn just by typing in any keywords and filtering by companies up here in the search box, of course. Let's see, unionizing Clash brews. Okay, your boss may spy on you. That's fascinating. Forever, it says. Your boss may spy on you forever. Kelly Nguyen, always bringing the positive stories to LinkedIn. When workers retreated to their home offices and the onset of the pandemic, companies swiftly embraced surveillance software to keep tabs on employees. That's nonsense. Now, 18 months later, the number of large employers using such tools has doubled to 60%. Are you kidding me? Says the Washington Post. And monitoring software is expected to get even smarter. The funny thing is I get emails every week from, Microsoft. And by the way, any of the views that I share here today are my own. They're not not the views of any organization that I might be affiliated with. But Microsoft in Office 365 will send you every week your kind of score in terms of collaborating, connecting with other people, and health. It's like a health score. How much you're using the systems and how much you're interacting with email, and how many people you've talked to in a day, month, or a week. So I find that compelling, and it may not be as nefarious as this article leads us to believe. It might just be making sure that you're okay. Companies are tracking keystrokes, face scanning workers, or even listening to audio outside of meetings, with some arguing remote work surveillance has gone too far. Yes, I would be shocked if companies are actually doing this. And if they are, I would be probably looking for my next great opportunity somewhere else. I think it's funny. I wonder if they even say in the article, let's go check it out, who the companies are that are doing this. Let's see. When Carrie started Attorney Suite. Okay, let's get some of these little things off of the page. In fact, I like using the Reader View. This is a great tool that you can get inside of Chrome. It's called, what is it called? I think it's called Reader View, or I don't remember the name of it. But anyway, let me click on it, see what it says. Reader View. Yeah, just look up in the Google Store, Reader View. Now I can make this bigger for y'all. Maybe let's see. How do I make it bigger? Oh, I go here. There we go. How's that? Okay. Keystroke tracking. The laptop's unblinking little camera light quickly became a nightmare, and a reminder of what her new workday might look like even after the pandemic phase. After 2 weeks, she ended her contract and pledged never to consent to that kind of monitoring again. It's just a constant, unnecessary, nerve-wracking stress. You're trying to concentrate, and in the back of your mind, you're on camera the entire time. Wow, that's just terrible. Park of Roses, Columbus. While working at home on a contract. Okay, they don't mention the employer, probably for good reason. Kept many of the Americas of America. Yeah, so I'm looking for, I can't imagine they'd even list these companies that are doing this. Market Research Gartner says company use more surveillance tool in the coronavirus pandemic to keep tabs on employees and monitor work. Yeah, I mean, that to me, that's just going a little too far. Absolutely gone a little too far. Where does Kelly get her data? Well, it's from the source called Washington Post, and the anecdotal conversation with Carrie Crutchett. So I'm not sure. It doesn't look like they're offering up any other people. Brad Edward, yeah, monitoring software, surveillance, people speaking on a source of anonymity, right? Anyway, people quitting their jobs. So yeah, all the people that were in these situations quit their jobs. So keep that in mind, folks. It's not something I'd certainly advocate. Let's see, the age of surveillance capitalism. Thank you for sharing, Terry. So I appreciate that. Yeah. Excellent book. The age of surveillance capitalism is a definitive source on surveillance, not just in the workplace, but everywhere. Highly recommended reading. Let's see here. Oops. Looks like I lost the page. Sorry about that. Sometimes you hit the thing and it disappears. Some good collaboration going in here. Let's see what Scott has to offer. Governed by attitude, it can be fostered, but created desired isn't something coming from outside. Okay, here's a question from Courtney. Thank you, Courtney. Can you share your thoughts about the talent migration to startup companies or entrepreneurship? Yeah, I don't know. I'm seeing that as a matter of circumstance, because people don't want to deal with, what do you call it? The bureaucracy. They don't want to deal with the politics. And I think they're going to startup companies or entrepreneurship because they want to try something new and different. And it's an experiment. I think all of us, to a certain extent, are drawn to different things. And some people are seeing this as an opportunity to do that. Let's see what Terry has to offer here. Scott, good point. People have natural levels, low, medium, high, of empathy, and it can be nurtured, I think. Yes, I'd agree with that. Absolutely. Yeah, exactly. Thank you. Thank you for that confirmation there, Mr. Smith. I do appreciate that. Certainly, if you have any other questions, put those in the comments section. I'm happy to answer. Good. Let's see what else is on the docket here in terms of the news. Let's see. Lights, camera, job search. Well, that's interesting. I can imagine what that means, but let's find out for real. Andrew Seaman. Thank you, Andrew, for sharing such great content here on the LinkedIn spot. I don't know why Mark, there we go. That one disappeared finally. A growing number of people are turning to video to catch the attention of employers. Video is the easiest way to get a stranger to know, like, and trust you. I don't think so. I think video is better than a phone. There's no substitute for in-person. Said How to Level Up founder Rhonda Pierce in the latest Get Hired Live. She said job seekers can create LinkedIn cover stories or video cover letters, short videos on social media, and longer videos like tutorials. Her top 3 tips for people interested in video as part of their job search are: 1, have a plan before making the video. Well, that's funny. I didn't have a plan before making this video, so I don't know that you need to have that. What you need to have is some courage and a willingness to share transparently and honestly your skills. So if I'm a job seeking professional and I'm trying to get the attention of an employer I'd love to work for, you can do that kind of thing through LinkedIn messaging. I find that helpful. I do birthday messages often that way, and that sort of thing. A little more personal, a little more intimate. Know your audience and make the video for those people. Yeah, I mean, if you're going to storyboard and get into production and go the extra mile that way, by all means, go ahead. But I think part of this is you may not know who your audience is. So you might have to guess. And that certainly is something that people may not be comfortable with. They may be trying to make it too narrow. When in truth, really, video is a really good way to display your brand and get a conversation or hiring process initiated. Not that you're looking for a video to land you a job. You're looking for it to land you a conversation or perhaps an interview. Make the video even if you're nervous. I'd agree with that. You'll get better at the process the more you make videos. So yes, don't believe, because I've been doing these kind of videos now for a long time. It's not something that's new to me. I do several webinars each week, so I'm used to being in front of the camera, but that's not how I started. If you go back to my YouTube channel and look at some of my early videos, they're pretty abysmal. So I don't remove them because I want a reminder of maybe how far I've come and how far I have yet to go to make my videos better. And so, yes, Akari's using video as part of their thing. You can go back and watch the LinkedIn Live, Get Hired Live video. Absolutely. Okay. Florida welcomes back another staple. I wonder what that is. Florida. What's going on, Florida? Having mostly sat out the year due to travel restrictions, Florida's army of snowbirds are planning on swarming back for this year's wintering season. Roughly 90% of Canada's 1 million snowbirds will flock back south this season. 1 million. That sounds like a market opportunity, doesn't it? Let's see. Canadian tourists, many of whom are snowbirds, spend an estimated $6.5 billion in Florida annually. Last year, Canadian tourist numbers were down 99%. Wow. I can't imagine what that does to the tax base in some of those Florida cities. Goodness gracious. Yeah, so there's probably a market opportunity here. There's probably going to be increased need for healthcare. There's going to be increased need for restaurants. So, I mean, there's market opportunity all over the place in Florida. Airlines weigh unruly no-fly. Country's hidden talent pool. We talked that one. We talked all these. No work from home didn't crush big cities. That's interesting. Let's see what it says here. Kelly Nguyen, always bringing the positive stories. The widespread adoption of remote work was supposed to decimate big cities, but that hasn't really happened. Instead, work from home seems to be making them even bigger, writes Insider, pushing city lines out toward the edges of major metros rather than leaving cities entirely. Many simply switch neighborhoods. Remote work has allowed workers to untether from office locations and easily sort themselves into their preferred parts of metropolitan areas. Yeah, I mean, I think it's allowed people, everybody's got different motivations for moving. Some of those, starting a family, House too small, right? It's not just the fact it's a pandemic and work from home that's generating these moves. It could be life is these moves. And the house you have is too small. And if you're homeschooling your kids because of the pandemic, that might be a result. But I see a lot of people doing remodeling too, because at least in my geography, there's not a lot of supply available. So it looks like that was Hillary Hoffauer wrote this article. So if you want to see this, remote work didn't wipe out big cities, it made them even bigger. And the other part of this is, I think, I've always wanted to live in New York. Maybe this is a time for me that, even though people might be leaving New York for different reasons, maybe this is a time for me to go to New York because I've always wanted to live there. People have always had those aspirations, and maybe now's a good time, and you could do that affordably. And, maybe you live there temporarily and, rent out your home wherever you're coming from. So that, I don't think that's and that may be only part of the answer. I mean, it's clear there's a lot of businesses that have been shuttered across America because of the shutdowns, Oregon included. Many of those companies may never come back. And it is tragic for sure. Hey, Joe Rumore, good to see you. New York City is okay. Yeah. I mean, not that I'd want to live there forever, but I just like to have the experience of having lived there and say that I've lived there. And, Oregon is really a hard place to beat, especially this summer. So if you had come to Oregon for the first time and lived here, you might think that it's like this every summer. And I can assure you it's not ever like this every summer. This in the umpteen years I've lived here, this has probably been the best summer I can remember in terms of weather. Hot and dry and wonderful. But that's all I have to offer, unless you all have some things you would like to share in the chat. You can certainly put those in the chat, and I'm happy to answer. Born and raised, no reason to go back. Oh, really? I had no idea. Didn't know you were a New York City boy. Which of the boroughs were you in, Joe? Looks like the chat overlay is not operating for us here today. Hopefully it works. Let me type something in here. Test. There, it's putting that one in. Maybe it's just not doing it for LinkedIn. It's read only. Okay, so it's not displaying. That's bizarro. All right, folks. Well, listen, I don't have much more to share today. I just like to check in, see what questions I can answer of yours, and then check out. And then we can all go and have a great weekend. Enjoy our libations, if you will. And so I might have some new news next week. So keep your eyes peeled. Anyway, lived in Queens and Long Island, worked in Manhattan. I have to adjust my accents. So there you have it. All right, folks, have a great weekend. We'll see you next Career Happy Hour. Bye now.